Good morning, world.
Good morning out there. Today on Cedric and Brian, a black man is offended by a local Cracker Barrel for decor, causing him to apologize. Also, self-appointed President-elect Joe Biden's advisor advises that we're going to close down for 4 to 6 weeks if the coronavirus spikes continue. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. Hi, Cedric. You remember, God, what was it? Somewhere in the summer, because we were outside, hanging out by the pool, and we got that story of the nooses being hung from a tree, and we found out that they were exercise equipment.
It's like the parkour stuff where you swing from it from branch to branch, building on your parkour skills.
Yeah, and it was actually put up by an African gentleman. Mm-hmm. And then during that same time, coincidentally, Bubba Wallace found nooses in his garage at a race he was doing.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, well...
Don't tell me it's happened again.
Well, I was reading Daily Wire, and they had a story from yahoo.com where a gentleman, and I will use that term loosely, said he found a bunch of nooses at a Cracker Barrel, and let me read his exact quote here.
Yes, I think his name is Alfonso Robinson. I believe it's a Cracker Barrel in Connecticut.
Yes.
Okay.
He said, someone at Cracker Barrel in East Windsor need to explain why there are nooses on the ceiling.
Nooses on the ceiling.
So I looked into it. Obviously, that's what we do here on Cedric and Brian.
Right.
And first I asked Cedric, well, first, before we get into the story.
We check our sources.
Yeah. For all those of you who know, this was Yahoo News. Okay. I asked Cedric, number one, if he actually, like, let's say we go to old West museums. Mm-hmm. They have nooses hanging out. Mm-hmm. Does that trigger you?
No.
You don't get scared?
No, it's part of the history.
Yeah. So, and then not only that, but we both watch Outlander, if you've seen our past episodes. Mm-hmm. Roger, very white, pasty Scottishman, mm-hmm. was hung by a noose.
Yes.
So, nooses were just a way that they executed people during history.
It was an instrument of execution regardless of your race.
Yes. So, and I understand that it was used in the Jim Crow era, but nooses themselves do not say racism. They've been put up for hundreds, probably thousands of years. People have used them. Mm-hmm. So for somebody to be triggered that is black by something, and when we get into the story, you're probably gonna laugh. By a noose, that is their problem. I don't think, like Cedric said, you're not triggered, right?
No. It's part of the history. It's part of the history of it. But let me ask you a question. This gentleman, Alfonso Robinson, he was triggered by the noose being inside Cracker Barrel. We didn't practice this, so I don't know what Brian's going to say. Are you triggered that the name of the restaurant is called Cracker Barrel?
I'm very offended that they call it Cracker Barrel.
Oh, here's a Cedric and Brian learning moment. I don't know if Brian can keep this in there. For those of you who don't know, the word cracker stems from slave days, and has nothing to do with the cracker or the Ritz or the salt on it, but it stems from slavery days where the slaves would be gathered together in the morning, and whoever was the guy who was giving them the orders that morning, he would come out on his horse to make sure they got to work. To get their attention, he would take his whip and he would crack his whip over the slaves to get them to pay attention and get to work. That's where the term cracker comes from.
So then cracker should probably trigger you.
Right, I should be triggered.
Everything should be triggered even by... So when somebody calls somebody when a black person calls a white person a cracker, it should actually trigger the black person because the sound of the whip would not trigger a white person.
Now, I was triggered, we talked about this before, in late 70s, early 80s by the restaurant Sambo's.
Yeah.
I was triggered by that. Actually, I didn't know too much about it then to be triggered. I just knew.
You were supposed to be triggered by it.
Right. It's just something innate.
So again, when we get into this story, these quote nooses have been there for 22 years, and until 2020, when people are told to be triggered by everything, it was never a problem. I'm sure there was other black Americans in there. I never affected anybody else, but we're being taught now to be triggered by everything.
Are you going to get deeper into the story, or should we just...
Yeah, I'm just going to read. Reed, because what the crackers did, what Cracker Barrel had to do is what
Are the employees called crackers?
yeah, they're all crackers there. What they had to do, obviously, is apologize because this, I don't want to use the P word, but this gentleman by the name
Alfonso
of
Robinson.
Alfonso, God. You know, I guess he had to go in the corner and suck his thumb. So
Yes.
Cracker Barrel came out, and what did they say here? We're sorry this happened. This antique electric soldering iron has an original wrapped cord that should not have been displayed. God forbid. We have removed the item from our East Windsor store. Many thanks to the guest who notified us on this so that we could correct our error. Again, it's been up there for 22 years. Nobody cared. And here's a picture of it. Now look at it in scale with the lamp. So the lamp is, you know, I don't know, this big maybe?
Yes.
So it's about this big. So that's a very small neck.
Yeah, and like you said, it was the cord to the iron.
Yeah, soldering iron.
That they let hang to put it on display. Yeah. But Alfonso Robinson saw a noose.
So then, as Cedric was saying, you said that they brought in activists so that they could go through the whole store, right?
Well, two things. Kudos to this manager for writing that letter, because I would have been giggling my ass off writing the letter. But he did a good job wording it to seem like he was apologetic.
Because he's a cracker.
Right. He's a cracker.
Cracker Barrel manager.
And then he had to invite activists in, because I think, if you can find that in the article, he said that black people are bound to find something in there that a white man just naturally wouldn't see.
Yes, we don't have the same eyes.
Right. And I'm sure they will find something, because we talked about this before. Whatever you're looking for, you will find it. If you're looking for something to get triggered about, something to be irritated about it, you will find it.
Well, I have some Scottish heritage, and when I saw poor Roger get hanged by a noose, I almost couldn't watch the show anymore.
You're full of
And I
crap.
know I'm full of crap,
Yes,
yes I am. Because we're not programmed, and Cedric's not programmed to be offended by every single thing.
This is where we're going.
So, thank you. What's his name again?
Alfonso.
Thank you, Alfonso, for making the world a safer place.
Yes, we can't have nooses hanging around in restaurants.
Somebody who is about this big would fit in that noose. So we saved all of the very little and apparently little black people from those little nooses.
Yeah, little people.
Yeah.
You gotta be PC about that.
PC.
Okay.
But only black people apparently were offended by that. But only in 2020, because again, those things have been up for 22 years. See where we're going? This is the Ibram X Kendi stuff. This is the. It's not okay just to not be a racist. You have to be anti-racist. So as Cedric was talking about how the activists went through the store, and I believe it's a she. I can't find her name here, but you can read the article.
There was a few of them, weren't there?
Yeah, it says, I am hopeful that the interaction I had with the manager here today is what it's going to be like going forward with any business, individuals, organizations, or people on social media. Karen Prescott, founder of the local organization to fight racism, told the publication, quote, basically, what I'm saying is if I can say to you, hey, this is racist, this offensive, then I hope you would move to action and in this case, take it down and be understanding and be open to learning. So basically, she's now promoted herself to keeper of all things racist.
Yes.
So if she says that offends me, and you've been to Cracker Barrel, right?
Yeah.
They've got all that stuff on the wall.
Yeah, old antique. Yeah.
So how many of you think that she's probably going to find something else that she finds offensive?
I am positive she's going to find something. I mean, it's almost like shooting crackers in a barrel.
Because I think they have like old sewing machines. Is that going to be offensive because, they put people in sweatshops? Is there going to be an old cotton gin in there because this store is basically from the South? Oh, that's offensive. Basically, history's going to be offensive.
What if someone goes in there, you take all the stuff out, and someone gets thirsty, they want to order a watermelon martini, or
That's offensive.
well, you gotta take those away.
God. It's just, and this is the kind of thing that people on the right, and what Trump specifically did, he didn't want to teach this stuff because there is no end to it. We're going to find offensive stuff. In the past, You saw news something, you went to an old ghost town, you saw Nooses. Didn't matter your color, you didn't get offended by it. It's just part of history. People were hanged by the news. There's crosses. People think of the cross, they just think of Christianity, but
Right.
that's how they basically tortured and killed people in that time period.
Yep.
It was another form of execution.
Crucifixion.
I mean, I just don't understand why everything is racial. And we're not going to cover it this time, but Ben Shapiro, again on the Daily Wire, brought up a good thing. He was talking about Barack Obama's new book, memoir. He said Moses himself didn't have this many memoirs.
Right.
But he showed the timeline of how this anti-racism, this separating people by race, basically was ushered in by Obama, because it was always there in the background, but he really brought it to the forefront. And that's why we have all this racial divide now. It's not making things better.
Right.
Do you think it's making things better?
No, absolutely not. We're getting further and further apart as a people.
We're supposed to treat each other as individuals, not as individuals within a group.
Right.
So, all right, so read that article. It's a good article. You can find it either on the Daily Wire or at yahoo.com. Just look up Cracker Barrel Noose, and I'm sure you'll find it. All right, so the next topic on the agenda today, because COVID is making a comeback. So it just goes to show you that locking things down, you can't hide from a virus. Locking things down didn't work. What you have to do is you have to find the people that are vulnerable, people that may get sick from it, and you need to isolate them, and you need to make sure you have the funds and the resources so that they don't die from it because they lacked availability to a hospital. We never overran our hospitals, even in New York City. We had an extra ship there that we never used. We made a hospital out of the something center, the Javits Center, right?
Right.
We never overran it. So what you do is you can hide from it. You come back out, it's going to come back. That's why places like Australia are coming back. Luckily, they're going to summer. They'll probably wane a little bit. But this is a virus like a cold virus and a flu virus. So this clip right here is Joe Biden's going to be his advisor if he becomes president. And here it is.
We could pay for a package right now to cover all of the wages, lost wages for individual workers, for losses to small companies, to medium-sized companies, for cities, states, county governments. We could do all of that. If we did that, then we could lock down for 4 to 6 weeks. And if we did that, we could drive the numbers down.
So as you can see, what he's saying is we are going to lock down we have enough money to lock down 4 to 6 weeks. That's easy for him to say. The businesses that go out of business, they don't care about the money.
Right. Well, here's the thing. It's this is what President Trump was saying months ago when he said that this is a hoax. He wasn't talking about the virus being a hoax. He was talking about this uproar and shutting everything down, how the news media is putting that out. That's a hoax. And we're getting closer and closer. This is scary because we're getting closer and closer to socialism and being taken care of by the state. Because like Brian said, if we shut down again for another 4 to 6 weeks, there are a lot of places that are going to say, screw it, we're done. And then the state will say, you know what? We're sorry. We will take care of you. We will feed you hand to mouth. We will give you money. We will give you funds. And instead of multimillionaires, people who have these great ideas going out and starting their own business and creating this fulcrum of leveraging poor people up by giving them jobs and being able to make goods and provide services, they can have this socialistic mentality where everyone gets paid the same thing. And we're getting closer and closer to that because, like President Trump said, the uproar is a hoax. It's not, you get it, like you said, we go into herd immunity, everyone gets it, and you move on.
So yes, there are vulnerable people that get this, but they just had the statistics too. Basically, anybody on Medicare, 65 and older, even their rates of survival are very high, even if they have some comorbidity. But what you do is you then take the people that have the diabetes and the high blood pressure and the heart disease, and you make sure that they don't go out in public for the time until we build up either a herd immunity naturally or with a vaccine, if the vaccine actually works. I still have my doubts. I know you're hearing in the news, Pfizer and all these groups have this vaccine. Then I heard from another doctor that said, hey, this is an RNA vaccine. They're not very successful.
Right.
So,
right.
Again, are you going to listen to the media? Are you going to listen to all these stories out there?
And what I'm afraid, if the state does start giving us money, be very careful about this. You heard it on Cedric and Brian here. if they start mandating that in order to benefit from the money that we're giving you, you have to take this vaccine.
Yep.
Let that be a red flag.
That's
Do not take
scary.
that vaccine.
That is scary. And I saw one of my friends who's a holistic doctor. He said Pfizer was saying that the vaccine is 90% effective, but your immune system, in the case of this virus, is 99.9% effective. And guess what? There's no side effects with your own immune system.
Right.
So what do you want to use? What do you want to do? The cure cannot be worse than the disease. So if you put a whole bunch of people out of work and a whole bunch of people commit suicide, they go on depression, they're on drugs, that is not good for society, but it's not good for the person, especially if it's a 40-year-old who has almost zero chance of dying from this.
Right.
So,
well, we get to that point. That's when the state says, "Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now you belong to us."
And in our state, they're putting unforceable laws. They're saying that you can only gather both Newsom and Cuomo. Ah, bunch of morons. So Cuomo said you can be in a bar until 10. So I guess magically the virus doesn't affect you till after 10 p.m. at night.
Right. Exactly.
Stupid. Just take common sense precautions. If you're in a big group of people, like I was just at Home Depot, I put the mask on. It's no big deal. But if I'm sitting in my house with my relatives, I'm not going to sit there with a mask on.
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
And if they want to, they can. I'm not. That's fine. That's their prerogative.
Exactly.
Anyway, more joy.
All right. But anyway, we thank you guys for watching, and we're going to do a little self-promotion here. Those out there, we hit the 1,500 subscriber mark, and Brian and I have a personal Cedric and Brian goal to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We can't do that unless you help us. So if you watch this video, you think it has some merit, has some validity, we're just two regular guys talking about what's going on in the world, and I know a lot of you are like that. Share this video with your friends and say, hey, subscribe to these guys. You know, they're a little quirky, a little weird, but you know, they got some good points.
Just two Americans giving you our opinion.
Right. So make sure you guys like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, and like I said before, make sure you share this video with everyone you know, and make sure they subscribe as well. But in the meantime, you guys stay safe out there, take care, and I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you in the next episode.